Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. I'm so glad that you decided to come back for another video. Today we are going to make a video. No, we're not going to make a video. We're going to make a card. We're off to a good start already. We are going to make a card from a Altenew set. It was a Craft Your Life project kit and it's called Feathered Lilies. It has multiple pieces to it. Well, this is what the Feathered Lilies look like. It has stencils so that you can color your images, whether you stamp them or whether you use the embossing folder. Today we're going to use the embossing folder with the stencils. It has a lovely, lovely stamp set. It's kind of hard to see. Let's do this. There we go. So it has this stamp set, beautiful illustration. Altenew's illustrations are just amazing, every single one of them. So it has the image and then it has some scripty fonts, you know, thank you, smile, congrats, hugs, hello, love, and then it has some smaller ones. So you can say thank you for being there for me, or smile, wishing you all that is best for you. I guess that goes better with congrats, doesn't it? But anyways, and there's lots of options with this. I love how they do their sentiments, that they give you a scripty one and then they give you the smaller type ones that you can put underneath them or on the inside. So we're not going to use this today, but we will use this one in another video. And then it has the embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder and it is absolutely lovely whenever you run the paper through it. So much dimension on this. And yes, I've already done that part to save us some time. So I'm going to go ahead and set these pieces aside because today we are just using that embossing folder and we're going to use the stencils. And I have some ink from Stampin Up. Now this card in particular, this one already is for somebody. This is for a friend of mine. Her name is Brona. And I'm making this some of her favorite colors. She likes red. So I'm doing 3 shades of red. I have some yellow. And then I have some greens. And I will be ink blending using the stencil onto the card base, and then we'll make the card. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. I have this mat. This is a grippy mat out of the Altenew Stampwheel. It's really nice for being able to lay papers down on it and then being able to stencil those papers because it will hold your paper in place. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to set this one aside. And then my brushes, I have 3 Altenew brushes. These are 2 skinny ones. One is a 5, one is a 7. And then I have this round brush from Altenew. And then I have these. These are just like any of the brushes that you can buy pretty much anywhere at this point that you can get brushes. These are from Amazon. And I'll put links to everything down in the description. So I'm going to take our first stencil. Now Altenew stencils have numbers on them. So this one has a 1 on it. And this one also has a piece that's sectioned off on it, which means that you stencil off this and then you can stencil these pieces. So the first part of this, now my stencil is not going to lay on my card base perfectly straight because I did put my card at an angle through the embossing folder. So don't be alarmed that my stencil is, you know, a little wonky going down here. It's just because of how I ran it through the embossing folder. So you want to get this lined up as good as you can. And I need to look at the reference on this because I need to see what is the flowers in this and what are the leaves. So these are flowers. This is the petals as well as this. Okay, so I've got couple of different colors going on here, and this is green. So these are going to be purple and a little bit of purple here. I'm not going to do this, so you know what, I'm going to mask this one off for right now because I want to be sure that I don't accidentally ink those. Okay, so I've got purples, greens, and a little bit of purple here. And actually we're using reds, not purple. So I'm going to start out with the lightest shade. And that's, this is Poppy Parade from Stampin' Up. And just to make sure that there isn't any residual ink on my brush, because I don't want to contaminate my inks with whatever I might have used last, we're just gonna clean this off a little bit. Now you got to be careful with this one because it has the stamens for the flowers on it, and they are very, very delicate. So I have to be careful about my ink blending. And look, now I got it on the card base up here. And this is why we do 2 of these through the embossing folder, for exactly that reason. So we're gonna set this one aside, and we're gonna start with this one. So that's a good lesson right there. If you are ink blending on a stencil and your stencil does not cover your entire panel, then you need to mask off the areas that it doesn't so that you don't accidentally get ink on those areas like I just did. Yeah, anytime that I'm doing anything like this where I have to use the die cut machine, like for the embossing, I always do at least 2 just in case I mess one up. Then I don't have to re-pull out all of the supplies to do another one. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put a piece of tape across the top of this. This is mint tape. This is from scrapbook.com. It doesn't stick to your paper, which is awesome. So you can easily put this down and not have to worry about tearing your paper. And that actually is going to secure our stencil a little bit further too, which is great. So let's go ahead and do this one again. Your ink blending does not have to be perfect on these because they are going to have multiple layers on them. So that's one of the nice things about the layering stencils is your ink blending does not have to be perfect. The lightest green that I'm using is Pear Pizzazz. Now you can use whatever colors you want to use. You don't have to use these inks, you don't have to use these colors. It is totally up to you. So everything else that's on here gets to be green. So now I'm going to take this stencil and rinse it off and peel the tape off of it because I need to use these pieces under here to do the stamens. And we're going to save these pieces because we can reuse them. Now I did get some red ink on my stamens, but I think that'll be okay. One thing about red inks is they will stain pretty much everything. You can see I've got some staining on my stencil where I had used the red ink. Reds and purples tend to do that. Sometimes blue will do it, but primarily the reds will do it. It doesn't hurt anything. The stencil still works just like it always did. It's just, it has that well-loved look to it now. So, okay, so we're gonna continue on with the stamens for these, and we're gonna do these actually in yellow. And the yellow I'm using is crushed curry. And like I said, it's okay that it's mixing in with the red. That's perfectly fine. Bad. I actually like that they're kind of mixed because then they're not just a bright yellow. Okay, so I'm going to rinse this one off. Okay, we are done with the first stencil, so we're going to set this one aside. Okay, so stencil number 2, and this one has a piece that is also sectioned off. So let's see where this one goes. So this looks like the bottom of the flower. Okay, so now looking back at the flower picture, this top part is green. This will be red, this will be red, green, red, red, and red. And then these are also green. Okay, so I don't mess this up. Okay, so this is green. Those are red. This is green. Those are red. And these are green. Okay. So we're gonna take our next shade of red. Let's close up the yellow. And like always, you knew it was gonna happen at some point during this, right? That I was gonna get green or get ink on my finger. At least once every video, I have to get ink all over my fingers. At least once. Anybody else do that? Especially with these kind of ink pads. I always struggle with these ink pads, with getting them open, getting them closed, and I always end up with ink all over my fingers. Do you end up with ink on your fingers when you craft? Yeah, let me know. And what do you use to get the ink off of your fingers? I use Blue Dawn. That seems to work pretty well. But what do you use? Is there something else that would be better than Blue Dawn? Okay, so this red, this is real red. And this is like a medium shade of red. And again, we're going to use the same blending brush. Just make sure that all of the real red, or all of the poppy red is off of it. And you know, that kind of looks like a mustard stain. Wow, a deli sandwich. That would be really good right now, wouldn't it? Okay, anyways, okay, so let's back to this. Now that I've made myself hungry. See, and I almost did it. That one's green. This one is red. Okay, so let's take these pieces off now. And let's do our next shade of green, which is Granny Apple Green. See what we got here. Well, this is starting to turn out really pretty. Oh, we got this. I wonder where that goes. There it is. Okay, so let's quickly do that in green. Well, let's quickly cover up the corner again. I'm really liking how this is turning out so far. Okay, so I'm gonna go wash this off and then we'll come back and we'll do stencil number 3. Okay, so let's do like we did before. Well, first of all, first things first. Let's mask off the sides of our card. Okay, so now, red, red, red. Red, red, red. This piece is green. And you don't have to section yours off like this. I'm just doing this because I'll get a little crazy with the brush and next thing you know, the whole thing will be either red or green. Okay, and then this is green. That little piece is red. And this piece is green. And that's green. You can certainly do this however works best for you. I just know that if I don't mask off my green sections, then I will end up with red ink in them. And that's not what I want, because really at this point, I definitely don't want to be starting this over. Okay, so everything that's left is going to be red. And for our last red, we're going to use Cherry Cobbler. I just love this shade of red so much. So Cherry Cobbler reminds me of dessert. What's your favorite kind of cobbler? Do you like cherry or blueberry or peach or apple? There's so many different options. I really like cherry cobbler. I also like peach cobbler, but I think cherry is probably my favorite. I like a good cherry pie too. Okay, and then we will go back in with the last shade of green, which is Old Olive. And you know what? I'm gonna put tape up over the red on this because I don't want that red to mix in with my green. Okay, I think that's going to do it for all of our stenciling. Wipe our brush off. And unfortunately, there's not going to be enough yellow on here to do what I wanted to do with this. So I might have to use this set of paper towels again on the next card to get some more yellow on there. Wow. Okay, that's a little more beautiful than what I thought it was going to turn out. I'm really, really happy with this one. So pretty, and it was so easy, just 3 stencils. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna go wash this off, and we're gonna come back and turn this into a card. Okay, before we finish this, I want to add a matting piece onto this, but I don't have cardstock in this color. I do have a lot of the Stampin' Up cardstock colors, but I don't have this one. And I think I refrained from buying this one because I like the Daffodil Delight a little better, and you don't need every shade of yellow in cardstock. And I know that I can make my own out of this ink pad. So we're gonna do that first, because I want the matting piece on this to be yellow to make these stand out. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna ink blend around this panel so that we can have a matted background of that same color without actually using a piece of yellow cardstock. And this does not have to be perfect. It would be kind of neat if it is actually just a little bit organic in a sense. And this is an easy way that if you don't have a piece of matching cardstock to go with what you're making, that you can make your own. And I do this a lot. You know, normally whenever I buy color cardstock, I picked whichever shade of the inks I have that I like the best, or my favorite shade of the cardstock. And then knowing that I can make my own out of using an ink pad later, then that way I invest more in inks than I do in colored cardstock. I kind of like that it's not even, that it has these organic spots on it where it's dark and light. I think that's going to look really interesting on this card. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to cut this down so that it fits on my card base. My card base is just a regular A2 size card. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's half of a sheet of 8 1/2 by 11, and it's just scored at 4 1/4. So we'll fix this. And I've got some nesting dies here. These ones have stitches on them. This is both the large and the small sets by Fawn. So I'm going to use these. Now I know that this outer one, the biggest one in the large set, is exactly the size of an A2 size card, and that's exactly what I want. I want this panel to cover this whole panel, and I could easily just put it down just like this, but I really wanted to have the stitch border on it because it just gives it a little something extra. So we're going to do that one, and then this panel, this one is also the size of an A2 card, and you'll see that it would cover up what we just did. So I'm going to take this set. This is a Hero Arts rectangle infinity dies. These ones don't have stitches. They are just plain rectangle dies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one because I know this is A2 size, and then I'm going to figure out in here which one of these dies will fit inside this so that I can still see the stitching. And actually, I may not use, I'm not going to run it through the die cut machine using these. I'm going to use this as a template to draw on my card so that I know where to cut this down, because if I ran this through the embossing machine, it would flatten my texture on this and it wouldn't be three-dimensional anymore. So we're just going to use this as the template so I know where to cut this piece. And that one seems to fit right inside. Okay, so now this should fit right down in the middle of that one. Perfect. I think that yellow was a great choice because of the yellow in the center. And the fact that I left some of it be darker kind of highlights that these are darker in here. That's pretty much what I was going for. Before we adhere all of this down, I need to go ahead and put the sentiment on here. I think I'm going to do hello and then thinking of you underneath it. Make sure that I leave enough room out here for the thinking of you. And there will be enough if we do it right there. All right. Got a little overzealous with my ink pad there. I didn't stamp all the way. That's a little better. And that O is really not a great O because it doesn't really look like hello on first glance. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with that, but we are this far, and that's the only bad part about actually stamping on your project. Now I could go in there and put a sentiment over it, but it's going to cut way too close to the flowers here. So we're just going to have to go with it and be okay with it. Sometimes the fonts look really pretty, but then when you stamp them out, you realize that it wasn't that great of a choice after all. And now I've lost, there it is. I've lost the little piece. And it looks like that's all running together. Yep, that's all running together. It's just too tiny of a font. I get a different kind of black ink. This is Altenew Obsidian, and that's way too much. we're not gonna do the little stamp on there because the font is way too tiny to stamp and get a good, clean impression from it. So we're just gonna leave it as hello because I don't wanna mess this up. I guess I should have tested out the stamps before I stamped them for the first time. Lesson learned. All right, so let's get some glue and glue this together. So have you ever run into that where you have stamped something out, like a sentiment in this case, and then you just weren't real happy with how it's stamped? Because it doesn't, I don't know. I wish the O would have been a little bit bigger on this. It's still a beautiful set by Altenew. I'm not at all complaining about the set. I just wish that the font would have been just a little bit different. And had I paid close attention to it, I would have seen that before I stamped it. So my panel is a little bit smaller than an A2, so I'm just going to trim off this white edge. All right, and then we'll go ahead and put this piece on. Okay, and I think it needs a couple little gemstones on it. So let me get those, and we will add a couple little bling things to it. So I moved my bling into one of these pouches. This was a pouch found in the back to school section at Walmart. It's a zipper pouch, and it's got 3 holes, 3 punched grommet holes, so you can put it into a binder. And I guess they probably use this as a pencil case maybe, but I thought it would be great to put my bling in because I outgrew my little 4x6 container. It was just, I didn't outgrow it, it was really stuffed. And I needed a better solution. So, should we do red or should we do yellow? Oh, I think both could be pretty. How about we do a combination? How about we do a combination of the two? And I've got a little dot of ink right here that I'm going to put one of these over top of. About that. Okay, well, that finishes up our card for today. I don't know, what do you think? You think red was a good choice for this? And what do you think about that font? But anyways, this is the card for today, Brona. I hope you like it. I hope you realize it says hello and not something else. Yeah, this was nice. I'm really, really happy with how this came out. I love the illustration, love the flowers. And I can see me making a whole lot more of these. So if you're interested in this set, I will link it below so that you can make pretty cards too. And thank you for joining me today. Have a great day, and we'll see you the next time. Bye.